And so you look at that and you say, there's no difference. And so what happens then is this false happiness and this comparison and everything that happens there. You've got families that get so caught up in building these reservoirs of wealth. What I call reservoirs of wealth. And it doesn't have to be with the super affluent. It can be at middle class America. It can be anywhere. They're so concerned about having this dollar amount, and they compare themselves with their peer group. So reservoirs of wealth doesn't mean that I have to be a Rockefeller. Reservoirs of wealth mean in my neighborhood, I want to have my 401k and I want to have all these other things, and I'm better off than you because I'm going to get this amount of money a month when I retire. And that's my reservoir. Okay? It doesn't matter how much you're worth. People still build reservoirs of wealth and compare and derive their happiness by how that reservoir compares with somebody else's reservoir. So, then there's other people that we continue to learn from and we really enjoy being around that have learned how to build rivers of wealth. And the difference between a reservoir and a river of wealth is that a reservoir of wealth creates less value than it gives. It takes more value in than it gives out. So are you, as a family that takes in more than you contribute? Remember our definition of the fourth level of gratitude? That top level of gratitude is when you contribute more than you receive, than you consume. So reservoirs of wealth are those that consume greater than they create. And what happens to a reservoir over time? Eventually, we know what happens. We know statistically that family wealth rarely survives 3 generations. Over 70% of the wealth is gone by the second generation, statistically worldwide. By the time you go from the third to the fourth, the number's 97%, almost 98% of family wealth never makes it into that fourth generation. Because they're so caught up in building reservoirs of wealth instead of rivers of wealth. And when you get caught up in between the two of them and you don't understand that principle alone of being able to create more value than you consume, that's what it all comes down to. That's the definition of sustainable. Think about it. The definition of sustaining yourself is to create more value than you consume.